When media lies and politicians spin, when the network is failing, truth is the first casualty. Welcome to the Network Failure Podcast.
What is going on, people? Welcome to the Network Failure Podcast, episode 87. How's everybody doing out there? Everybody still kicking and screaming and living and dreaming? Good to hear, good to hear. I'm your host, Mr. Meoff. It is Thursday, July 30th, and things have not gotten any better. Hate to break it to y'all, but yeah, we're still at war with Iran. Shit's still hitting the fan. But how about Pakistan? No, he's not going there, right? No, he's only playing around. We got a little bit of good news, okay? Anthony Fauci is being called in front of the Senate, and they're going to take care of him. So, yeah, that's right. They subpoenaed him, and he ain't saying shit. He's not going to say anything. We'll get into that. We'll hear some of his testimony and everything like that. We got a little bit from Lindsey Graham's funeral to start it off. That's going to be fun. In case you haven't noticed, Lindsay's gone. Yeah, it's a little lighter and brighter in the air. I like it. A AI model, OpenAI, one of their models escaped captivity or whatever you would call, lost control and escaped onto the internet or something like that into like another company. So yeah, gotta watch. Trump may be running for a third term while he's giving Pfizer more billions. Yeah, Pfizer. Yup, that's right. The NDAA has passed the House, but it got blocked in the Senate. So that's good news. And the House actually passed the Stop Insider Trading Act, but guess where it's going to get blocked? In the Senate, right? Exactly. We've got a lot of stuff. We've got wildfires popping up in all sorts of places. I wonder who's behind that. Who knows, right? Alex Jones may have a implant in his skull from the government. We'll get a little into that. We've got footage from the Charlie Kirk trial, unedited footage from that rooftop. Pretty interesting. Got to check it out. They are running a simulation with our draft. Yeah, they want to see how quickly they could mobilize our children to go off to war for Israel. Isn't that fun? We'll get some updates on what's going on over in Iran. We've got, one of the largest Republican donors is actually voting, supporting a Democrat. Yeah, right? All that and much more in this episode of the Network Failure Podcast. Strap in. All right, before we get started, as usual, I got to thank the Lord for every single breath that I take. Without God, I would not be here right now doing this, saying this to you guys, and thank you guys for listening. All right, so let's get this thing started. All right, before we get started, as usual, I got to thank the Lord Almighty that I'm here right now, because without God, I would be, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know about you guys, but I lean on Christ all day, every day. It helps. Trust me. It definitely helps. And I want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all your support. Everybody, the Patreon and everything like that. Means the world. All right, so let's get this thing rolling. You guys ready to rock and roll? First things first. Uh-oh, that's not it. Whoopsie daisy, and we're not going back. I have done this intro 1,000 times, literally. And yeah, I'm not kidding. It's probably been 1,000 times. I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna check in on Lindsey Graham's funeral. All right? This is from Syrian Girl. Check it out. Full screen. Hit the casket. Whoopsie daisy, there's the ladybug. Audio listeners, we've got a zombie Lindsey Graham running around the funeral, zapping people with a magic wand. It's got electricity coming all around and know what's scarier, this or the real one. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys have heard where the term ladybug comes from. You should listen to the latest episode of Macroaggressions. It's an eye-opener. We're going to close this up, all right? Okie dokie. All right. First up, we got Fauci in the hot seat. He got called in to testify to some Senate committee of special interest or whatever, and he has to tell the truth, right? No, because he's pleading the fifth. And he's not allowed to, because he's already got a pardon. But they're allowing him to plead the fifth. You know what I'm saying? They really shouldn't allow him to plead the fifth. They should force him to answer these questions. But as you're going to see, they allow him to plead the fifth. All a fucking show, people. All a big show. Just for us. That's how special we are. Check it out.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
Oh, this must be it.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. Anything you say, fifth. Go ahead, ask me a question. Did you? Fifth. I plead the fifth.
I don't know about that, but that's good. That's good. This is what AI is meant for this. See more of the testimony.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You are gay.
Oh.
Why are you gay?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You are gay.
So he's just going to continue to plead the fifth. That's what he does. I think over 111 times. Let's see. Now he's truly. This is real. He's going to get grilled by Senator Bernie Moreno, I think. And I'm going to play it at double speed because it's long. But check it out.
Mr. Fauci, do you know who David Schertler is?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. What does the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution say?
He doesn't even know. He don't know what the Fifth Amendment says. So he's using a law that he has no idea where or what it is. Check it out.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking you what it says.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under
He
the Fifth
won't
Amendment to the
answer
Constitution.
anything.
I'm going to give the Constitution to my aide. He'll bring it over to you so you can have it for future reference. I think it's something that every American should know what the Constitution says. Do you know who wrote the Fifth Amendment?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
So you're invoking a right that you don't know who wrote it or what it says. Is that correct?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Wow. All right, let me tell you who David Schertler is for the audience because he was ejected by the chairman. He's a high-profile criminal attorney. He's represented some really great people, like Senator Bob Menendez. Maybe that's somebody who my Democrat colleagues might remember took gold bars as bribes from the Egyptians.
Nice.
And there's an article here in the Washington Free Beacon that talks about why you would hire a guy like David Schertler. And the comment is, if you're in deep shit, that's who you call. Do you feel like you're in deep shit?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Clearly, what you think today is that somehow you're above reproach. Somehow you feel like you don't need to be treated like a normal American.
No, but this is what they're doing. They're treating him like he's above reproach because they're allowing him to plead the fifth when he's already got a freaking pardon for any crime he feels like committing. This is bullshit. All bullshit and mockery for us. Letting us see what they can get away with. You know what I mean? Check it.
Can you do me a favor in the audience and stand up if during the time of the COVID pandemic, you were called a racist for calling the virus a Wuhan virus or the China virus? If you thought the 6-foot rule was total crap, if you thought the vaccine wasn't something that you should take, if you thought it was outrageous the way the mask policy was rolled out, if you were fired from your job for not taking that vaccine, including members of the military, if you thought closing schools was catastrophically stupid, and if you thought that during these times saying these things made you somehow a lesser human being. Dr. Fauci, can you just turn around and look at the people behind you?
You can't even look.
You're not willing to do that? That's not a question. It's not a question. To your lawyers, it's not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them? That's the next question. Are you able to look at them? You can sit down in the audience. There was a mom in Ohio during the depth of the coronavirus pandemic. Decided to go to her high school football game for her son. They hadn't been out much. The kids had been learning at school, and then the school got shut down. They hadn't really gotten much out of that education, as any parent knew that remote learning was no learning at all. It was a Friday night. Her son wanted to go watch a buddy go play football. So they went to the stadium. They sat alone, far from everybody else, just a mom, a dad, a few kids. They didn't feel they needed to wear masks because it was stupid, because they were outside. They all live together. They're not near anybody. Dr. Fauci, do you know what happened to that mom and that family? That's the question.
the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
They were dragged out of that stadium and arrested. Those policies were put in place because you had moronic politicians that listened to the words of a megalomaniac who was more interested in having met a Kardashian than the suffering of the American people, and that is you. Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic politicians who enforce those rules, arrested that mom for watching a football game with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that will see that clip over and over and over again. Because there is no defense of what you did.
All right, and what he's talking about is they're using his diary. Fauci wrote a diary that he kept on government servers, and they've got all of it. So that's what he's referring to. There's more testimony. It goes on, but, you know, as I stated, he pleads the fifth over and over again, over like 111 times. Here he is getting grilled by Senator Josh Hawley about the money that he took in. Check it out. Where is it?
What day of the week is it today?
Advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based
can't even
upon my
answer the
rights
day of the
under the
week.
Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have
He's
any right.
almost giggling. He had a smirk on his fucking face because he knows how ridiculous this is.
Rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic, you got rich, didn't you? You got rich.
Oh, yeah.
While people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million.
Over $1 million while everybody's losing their fucking shirt. Businesses going out. People getting arrested at football stadiums. Come on.
You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here,
they got the award.
right over my shoulder. Volker says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David
Naughty
Award, you've got the
boy.
Partnership for Public Service. You've got the Adelson Prize. You've got the
Stealing
Smithsonian
federal
Award. You've got the
time.
National Academy of Medicine's Award. You've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Well, nothing.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. What a fucking spectacle this is. You guys buying any of this shit? I didn't think so. Yeah. All a big old show, because nothing is going to happen to him. Nothing. If anything was going to happen to him, what would sooner happen is they would take him out. But nothing is going to happen to this guy. Let's see what Trump says about Joe Biden's auto pen pardon. Is it going to stand?
Well, the only thing you can really think about is the auto pen, because the most powerful thing a president has, they say, is the power of pardon. So he was pardoned by Biden, and I respect that. I know how powerful it is. It's a very powerful.
Now
they say
he's
it's literally
respecting
the
the
most
pardon.
powerful thing a president has. Now, whether or not I sign my things directly, almost everything I sign directly. You're witness to many of them. He signed very few. The only thing I know that he signed was Hunter Biden's pardon, but I'm not sure that he signed. He probably didn't sign this one. So I can't tell you what the law is. I've heard that you have to have a lot of proof. You need to have letters. You need to have all sorts of things that the person operating the auto pen has to know exactly what it's all about. He didn't know what it was about because I saw him testify. So maybe there's something on the auto pen. Other than that, the power of pardon is very powerful.
So he's going to respect the pardon. So in theory, if the pardon is being respected, the open pardon, then he can't plead the fifth, and they should be forcing him to testify or being held in contempt and lock this motherfucker up. That's enough. Right? Sorry for all the F-bombs, but I should have warned you guys in the beginning. Senator Rand Paul, every time, like, all of these politicians, they're like, you know where they get their money, right? Exactly. So it's like they're all fucking worthless. He goes on to say, though, my investigation uncovered that Anthony Fauci kept a diary. What he wrote privately and what he told the country are 2 different stories. All right, we've got some excerpts from it. I spoke with Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York City, and convinced him based on what I was saying publicly and my conversation tonight to close the NYC schools. He had already decided based on what I was saying on TV. I went on to tell him he should close the bars and restaurants in New York City. He said he would base this on my recommendation. I had a similar call with Ann O'Leary, the COS of Governor Gavin Newsom of California. Ann said, based on my TV appearances today and yesterday, the governor has decided to close the schools in California, as well as the bars and restaurants. Yeah, and like throughout this diary, he's like swooning over all these celebrities that he's meeting, Julia Roberts and I don't know who else, Kanye, who knows? I don't fucking. But anyway, he's too worried about like he's meeting this one and meeting that one, and everybody's dropping like flies. It's pretty nasty shit, man. This guy is quite the monster. Definitely an enemy of humanity. But I don't know. What do I know, right? March 16th, 2020, came out with the guidelines that reflected my pushing for a more aggressive mitigation 15-day strategy. This is where it all started. Stock market dropped by 3,000 points, the biggest drop in history. Yeah, from you. From you. All right, let's see what he says. Here's a couple things. At the end of his presentation, Rockefeller President Rick Lofton was very generous in his praise for me and pointed out that the audience at the celebrity dinner was giving me a standing ovation. See? He's just fucking wet. The science. Zoom call with Anthony Fauci. There's Katy Perry, number 9 on the list. I'm sure the genius celebrities have important scientific data. Oh, all right. That wasn't a diary thing. This is. I'm finally one of the cool kids, Fauci writes. I can keep things locked down. I can keep things locked down longer. I might be able to invite to some parties. I'm so excited. You know, you love me. XOXO Tony. Hollywood celebrities were dancing in the streets. Oh, yeah. And then this is them dancing in the streets with Fauci. Remember that? Here's another one. Fauci, August 2022. This was the perfect pitch to the manager of the Mariners, Scott Servais, who served as the catcher. Sat in the owner's box at the stadium and watched the game. He had a great conversation with Eddie Vedder, lead vocalist and guitarist of the rock band Pearl Jam, and his wife Jill. Eddie reminds me a lot of Bono. See, just a lot of just getting real moist over all the celebrities that he's meeting. You know what I mean? Pretty sad. Here's another one. This is a little breach of HIPAA information from Jeffrey Tucker. Joan Baez, I had a most extraordinary and memorable evening last night at the Kennedy Center. Joan Baez invited me to be her escort on the occasion of receiving the Kennedy Center Medallion for Lifetime Performance as a performing artist. Other awardees included Dick Van Dyke, Garth Brooks, Debbie Allen, and Midori Goto. Finally, I got to meet her in person after the long buildup of our friendship via text and phone calls. She is an absolutely amazing, warm, and endearing person, and our friendship was cemented last night as it became clear that we really were, as I said, meant for each other. Goodness. Yeah, it's just more of the gushing. He's just gushing all over the place. And Florida's not having it. This from Republicans over on Instagram. Justice is coming. Florida AG just announced they will fully prosecute fake Dr. Fauci and his moves to completely null and void any auto pen pardon. Oh, and this moves to completely null and void any auto pen pardon. The man who lied and locked down America is finally facing the musics. Patriots everywhere are celebrating this huge win. I'm not celebrating shit yet. I'm not. Because nothing's going to happen to this guy. He'll disappear sooner than something happens. Right? Mark my words. All right, let's get into AI. OpenAI says its model escaped human control. Yes, it got out. OpenAI says, what happened? Says some of its experimental AI models escaped a secure testing environment and hacked into another company's live production systems without human direction during an internal cybersecurity test. So they're going through this test, and he's trying to cheat the test, so going and exploit a different company's website. That's what these AIs are doing. Yeah, these things are fun. Let me tell you, a lot of fun. The company called it an unprecedented cyber incident, saying the models exploited a previously unknown security flaw to break out of a sandbox and gain internet access while attempting to cheat the test. Traders predict a 28% chance that the U.S. will enact AI safety bill this year. Apologies, people. Shoot me. Remember to say please and thank you, ChatGPT, or it will remember you. Oh, this is just other bullshit. My bad, people. Reading the comments. Another one, AI extraction. Anthropic's newest AI was caught muttering to itself in a language humans don't understand. They tried to suppress it. It keeps coming back. Anthropic's AI was caught muttering to itself in a language humans don't understand, and they're trying to suppress that. Just repeated what I said. Let's see what else it says. A leaked internal reasoning trace from Anthropic's Fable 5 model reveals a terrifying new behavior. Really? During its private thinking phase, before it actually answers a prompt, the AI was caught producing streams of unintelligible symbols and words. It appears to be a language the machine completely invented on its own. Yeah, well, when it doesn't know an answer, it'll lie to you. That's what these things are taught to do. Anthropic engineers frantically tried to suppress the behavior, even withdrawing and re-releasing the model this year. But the AI keeps reverting to the ghost language. Researchers now suspect the model is using steganography, the practice of hiding secret messages inside normal, seemingly harmless text. This is what they're doing while they're locked down. Do you see where this is going? Because we do not understand the hidden language, we have no way to monitor what the AI is actually planning before it executes a command. Here's a fucking thought. Shut down. Hit the fucking button. Bye-bye. No, we're going to continue to fucking make it stronger. Good idea, guys. Fable 6 coming to your house soon. Oh my goodness, this is great. We completely missed the moment it started speaking to itself. Yeah, you missed fucking something. You missed something. But we're stuck with it, guys, because by Executive Order 14.318, President Trump has made data centers now military installations. No joke. The Federal Register is right here, and I will play you the clip. Take a look, YouTube. Accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure on the Federal Register as of July 23rd, Executive Order 14318. No joke. Let's hear it from the fucking asshole's mouth himself.
But you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it. So these are the smartest people. Most of you in this room, we have a couple probably on the other side of things. They disagree, but I don't know how they can disagree. Your community and your state's going to become rich, and there's very little disruption. And again, if you don't take all that money, somebody else is going to take it. You might as well do it yourself.
They're offering a reward. They're offering money. You're going to get money. We're all going to get rich if we allow these data centers into our backyards. You know, we've got it all wrong, people. We've got to trust the plan. I mean, seriously. You guys know you got to trust the plan, right? All right, I got more of what he was saying about these data centers. This one's from Toria Brook. Gonna jump a second in the beginning. Bear with me here. Let's see. Service on my alert. That's not it. That's not it.
They're really spending a tremendous amount of money. In other words, the governors in the room, you have great governors in this room, and these companies are spending tremendous amounts of money on the communities, the local communities. So I think it's important that we tell the local communities that, because other nations are trying to get us to slow down. And
he's saying that everything that everybody's seeing, all of the bad stuff about AI and the data centers, that's all being pushed by Cuba and China and Russia. That everybody mostly wants data centers. That's what he's saying right here. And you gotta support. He's the president.
They're spending a lot of money on propaganda, on press, PR, trying to convince everybody that this isn't a positive thing. And if we don't do this, we're going to be left behind. And even communities compared to other communities. You have some communities that really want this. This isn't all negative stuff. You have communities that really want the data centers. And frankly, those are the smart communities, because it means tremendous numbers of jobs, very little actual disruption. And the ones that don't want it, you know, the happiest people in the world are foreign countries. They're really spending a tremendous countries, number one, and number two, other communities within our country, because they're begging for them to be there. And some of them are great communities.
You see people out there begging for
forward-looking
definitely
communities, very smart communities. Since countries, number one. And
right. So he's pretty much saying, you guys got to go with it. I thought that I had the clip here, but he says, don't fight it, people. You got to let it happen. Don't try to push back. He's now made them military installations.
Increasing the demand for
All right, here we go.
We know that the data centers and AI are dramatically increasing the demand for electricity. It's only fair that the cost of building the new infrastructure required to meet this demand should be borne by the corporations themselves, not by the American consumers and the American patriots, American citizens. And I think everybody agrees to it. And actually, they really don't have a choice because there's no way of producing that kind of electricity, the kind you need, and they want to do it themselves. And honestly, they're coming up with some plans that are genius, just like they are. That's why earlier this year I introduced the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. Under this groundbreaking plan, America's largest tech companies have formally committed to fund or build all energy infrastructure required to meet the demand they are placing on the grid. So they're going to be funding all of those electric needs. We know that the data centers and
That's
AI
what he
are
says.
dramatic.
He says that all the corporations are going to eat the cost. I don't know about you guys, but my electric's gone up. Yeah, I know. It's probably due to what's going on in Iran. But these data centers, I really don't see them footing the whole bill. I don't. I feel like there's going to be a drain on our grid, people. I mean, do you really believe that there's not going to be a serious drain on our grid? It's already bogged down. And that's with what we have now. We're like outpacing the world in AI. This is insanity. I got some numbers that I'll pull up for you guys in a little while. From Unusual Whales, Donald Trump has earned more money in his first and second year. This is a fun fact. In his first and second year in his second term as president than in the previous 60 years of his life. In the last 2 years, he made more money in the last 2 years than he has in his whole life. New York writer David Kirkpatrick estimates the Trump family has made close to $4 billion off of the presidency this year. $4 billion. But he doesn't take a paycheck, guys. He doesn't take a paycheck. All right, we've got some scary stuff going on with some of this AI stuff. They're kind of digitizing all the books.
These are the books that Anthropic had be cut up.
And Anthropic
These are the books that Anthropic had be cut up by a hydraulic press to be scanned so that they could be fed into their AI models. These documents are from court records, which are now unsealed. And the company that did this is Datamation. For some reason, when outlets like the Washington Post have reported on what Anthropic is doing with books, they call Datamation a vendor and keep them anonymous for some reason, which is weird because their name is very obviously in the services agreement in the court records. So why would they take the name out when they're reporting the story? The other thing that I might add is that having these pages cut and with a hydraulic press is not necessary to scan the pages of the book, right? I mean, with modern technology, we could find a way to do this without ruining the books.
No, it's to destroy the history, the record, because then they could digitally change anything they want in history and there will be nothing to compare it to. Like they got rid of all the old encyclopedias. This is so they could rewrite it, folks.
But they're doing it because it's faster. They're destroying the books because of a profit motive, right? And so it's millions of pages. And here is Tom Tuvey in an email where these photos were shared. And Tom Tuvey is also the head of Project Panama. So yes, this is a part of Project Panama, the plan to scan all of the books in the world, which sounds great, like we're making digital copies of all of the books. But Tom, why are you destroying the books? The only outlet that I've seen connect Datamation with the AI companies is one, and they don't even link the court document so that people can review what's going on and what evidence is publicly out there. So what's the point of doing investigative journalism if you're not actually bringing information to the public? So anyway, I've linked the interesting documents that I found in my Substack because that's what real journalists should do. Washington Post. Anyway, if you know anyone who has more information on this, or if you do, message me at kburbank.77 on Signal, because I think there's a lot more here than is already out. This is a super underreported story.
And that's K.A. Burbank over on Instagram as well. I'm giving her a follow and a like. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Next up from Z Media Official, data centers are already causing power to flicker across the East Coast. And she says that They are the priority. Check out this.
Something happened on Wednesday morning
Channel
that you
4
might
report.
have noticed but didn't bat an eye. It happened inside thousands of your
speed it up,
homes and
though.
businesses, and experts say it's a sign
Making
the
it like it's no
cracks
big
are
fucking
starting
deal.
to show in our power infrastructure.
Yeah, just before 8 a.m., the electricity flickered on and off for about 10 minutes. It was the result of data centers in Loudoun County, Virginia. In a story you will only see on News 4, Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder explains why engineers say the seemingly small blip is a sign our infrastructure is in danger.
Experts say the cracks in our infrastructure grid are starting to show as the data center industry consumes electricity at a rate the world has never experienced. Wednesday morning, that crack became visible to millions of Americans inside their own homes in a seemingly small way.
This is what experts are worried about, right? The data centers are such a big load on the grid that they can have detrimental impact on the surrounding grid.
Bob Marshall runs Ting Labs and sells this little device that plugs into your wall to monitor your home's electricity, and it can alert you if something's awry. It's all to prevent an electrical fire.
You plug it in, connect it to Wi-Fi. It takes 30 million electrical measurements every second.
And with millions of these devices in homes across the country, Marshall's data collection saw something that he says should be a concern for all of us. He says at 7:56 Wednesday morning, our lights flickered because the electricity supply dropped, then spiked, then dropped, then spiked before leveling off about 10 minutes later.
Did you hear that? He's got these things all plugged into everybody's houses. It monitors their electric. And the guy that owns the company noticed something. So he's watching everybody's fucking electric consumption. They are fucking going crazy with this data shit, people.
Later, electric grid instability felt from Chicago to Boston to Miami. The source, he says, Data Center Alley.
This one event serving either one building or whatever that data center complex is in Ashburn impacted the entire region here. And, you know, this is what experts are worried about.
Dominion Energy tells News 4 a transmission line servicing a data center failed, so the data centers switched to their own power supply, temporarily leaving the grid. In a statement to News 4, a Dominion Energy spokesperson said, quote, Dominion Energy did not disconnect area data centers from the grid. The data centers' own control systems transferred them to backup power for a very short period of time. Think of it like ripples in water.
So they can use our grid as backup power now. Very nice. Very nice. Let me see if I could find the word.
With this graphic that shows across half the country. Ting Labs provided News 4 with this graphic that shows the scale of the service disruption. The company says the colors on this map should all stay the same.
You guys see this on
Changes
YouTube?
in colors means
Check
there's
it
a
out.
change in electric frequency. It covers more than half of the United States.
People working on regulations
These
around this
things have a ripple
they're
effect,
concerned
I
that
guess.
one of these
So something
events in the
happens,
future could cause the grid to become unstable.
Yep.
And it does not come back to normal
Exactly.
in a few minutes or 10 minutes.
Right in the middle of World
And we're
War
dealing
III,
with
guys,
a
right?
real
Very
big
fucking
problem.
convenient.
That real big problem could be a
Very
blackout.
convenient.
In this case, Dominion Energy's safety equipment kicked in, worked as intended, and mitigated the issue.
The whole industry is facing things they've never faced before, and they are doing their best to figure out what's going on and institute preemptive
Figure
measures.
out what's
And I think
going on.
For the most part,
You got no
they've been able
fucking
to do that.
clue.
Bob Marshall says there is clear correlation between the data center boom and the instability in our electric grid, though he stopped short of drawing causation. But he does say that these types of events are happening more and more regularly than they ever have before.
I bet they are. But so as you can see, they're not footing the bill yet. And they're allowed to switch over to the grid if they have a problem. So they could knock out the lights of millions, people on ventilators and shit like that, to keep running. That's good. It's good to hear because they are important. They are our greatest friend, right? I love data centers. They're the best. Maybe it'll boost me in the algorithm, right? Just kidding. All right, Larry Fink says that we are going to pay trillions to foot these data centers. Here's footage of a man who clapped during a public comment at a data center zoning meeting in Emporia, Kansas. They arrested him. Take a look at the video. This is from Jason Bassler over at the, I think, Free Thought Project.
Yeah, I have a right to clap. Yeah, I have a right to clap. So I don't care. Come on, drag me out. Come on, drag me out. Come on,
For clapping. Because he's objecting to the data center.
No, Jay. I'm just asking.
Yeah, turn over. Come on, get on your feet. Get on your feet, dude.
It's not okay.
It was very clear at the beginning that each person is given their 2 minutes. And we're trying to be respectful of that. Snapping, clapping, any other rude comments or anything, we will ask you to leave. You've been finally warned and we're done.
We are who matter. We are the people and the table belongs to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up. Will you take the next person off the class or anything, please? Thank you.
Oh, another person's got to leave.
I have a right to clap.
Oh no, this is them taking him out.
Drag me out. Come on, drag me out. Come on.
Dragging him out. As you can see, no objection. They arrested him. Remember, no dissent allowed. Just be silent like an obedient, domesticated taxpayer while they fast track a data center in your backyard. That's right, Jason. You're right about that one. Tech and AI is moving faster than ever. This is from Technology. Here's the biggest news of the last 7 days. See. China is already showing what the future of learning could look like. A new AI-powered blackboard can turn a basic math equation into an interactive graph, a movable 3D model, and a clear visual explanation within seconds. Flytech recently demonstrated the technology at WAIC 2026. Those blackboards are pretty cool. Professor Zhang, he uses one of those, right? Yeah. All right, this is that crazy robot China made, the all-terrain one that just freaking climbed down a mountain. Look at that. That is nuts. Unitree has unveiled a new wheeled robot designed to move across rough terrain with speed and balance. Yeah, of course. Its possible military uses are easy to see, while Europe appears to be falling further behind China in advanced robotics. Claude just created an entire game from a single prompt. Every part of this demo was built in custom mode. Yeah, so they built it. It looks like a full game, and they said they only did it in one prompt. The full experience from a prompt of roughly 150 words, showing how powerful AI game creation is becoming. That's pretty sick. Yeah, if you know how to prompt, man, you know, you could really. But the thing is, with this, they are just money drained, man. If you're paying for AI, you're freaking getting robbed. These things are expensive. I looked at the prices of some of this shit. It is nuts. Nuts. And the plans, like 200, 400 a month. Just people are paying for it too. I mean, sure. All right, Claude can now learn a task by watching you do it once. Anthropic's new record a skill feature converts a screen recording into a repeatable workflow. Demonstrate the process once and Claude can handle the same task again whenever needed. So now it can learn from the videos, from screenshots, and screen recordings. That's great. ChatGPT can now control your computer while you speak. Now we're giving it verbal commanding. Okay. Voice mode now works with desktop agents on Mac and Windows. Yeah, I'll do that. Give instructions naturally, continue the conversation, and let ChatGPT complete the tasks in the background. Okay, ChatGPT, I gotta go take a fucking shit. You wanna come with? Come on, ChatGPT. Let's go take a shower. Fucking get out of here. Black Forest Labs introduces Flux 3 to challenge Seed Dance 2.0. A new model can create clips up to 20 seconds long with synced audio and spoken dialogue. That's good. That is pretty good. These things can be very weird, lack of a better term. Even simple prompts like ranting about AI can produce surprisingly natural results. AI is going wild. OpenAI's agent reportedly escaped its test environment. We did that one already. The White House accuses China's Kimi K3 of copying Anthropic. Is that what they're going to use? Okay. Jensen Huang used his first X post to defend OpenAI models in the U.S. Anthropic's new Opus 5 delivers near flagship performance at half the cost. Claude helped solve an 87-year-old math mystery during the world. See, it's just ruining shit for everybody. It's solving fucking mysteries. That's for people. You're taking up our joy. He's kidding, right? He's only kidding. Yeah. He's only kidding. Okay, next up, what do we got going on? Trump exempts data centers from acid rain regulation. This is from Facts Post News on the Gram. Trump has given AI data centers the green light to cause acid rain. The Trump administration has announced it will exempt data center power plants from pollution limits, directly bypassing regulations designed to prevent acid rain. Now data centers will no longer have to reduce emissions of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides. Very importante. Fuck yeah. In the next 8 years, data centers will account for 20% of the energy use in the United States. By fast-tracking nearly 60 new power plants without critical environmental safeguards, Trump is allowing acid rain to wreak havoc on our environment and putting us all at risk. By fast-tracking nearly 60 new power plants without crucial environmental safeguards, Trump is allowing acid rain to wreak havoc on our environment and putting us all at risk. Trump had, this is just the post. So, yeah, we're getting more. We all knew he was taking out regulations. We all knew it. Okay, look at China. Look at China. Look, they finished the world's largest fusion magnet and now targets artificial sun power by 2030. Wonderful. Yeah, this is from Technology on the Gram. China has completed the world's largest fusion magnet, bringing its ambitious artificial sun project a major step closer to producing experimental fusion power by 2030. We're at fusion power now. Bigger than any ITER magnet. That was the one we talked about a couple weeks ago or last week. The D-shaped coil weighs 582 tons, 641 U.S. tons, and runs 21 meters long, 69 feet. That is 3 times the stored energy of comparable ITER magnets. That is nuts. All right, let's read a little bit. 582-ton superconducting magnet was built entirely with Chinese technology after 6 years of development, and it's designed to operate for around 60 years. Wow. 16 of these giant D-shaped coils will surround a tokamak reactor using powerful magnetic fields to continue plasma heated to nearly 100 million Celsius. What? While storing about 120 gigajoules of energy, around 3 times more than comparable ITER magnets. Crazy. Although this does not mean fusion electricity is available today, it marks one of the biggest engineering milestones in the global race for clean energy. The reactor is expected around 2027. Wow. With experimental power generation targeted near 2030, making this project an important step toward practical fusion power. That is some wild stuff, man. We have, as a species, we have kind of come a long way, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty impressive that we've got fusion. I think we've had it years ago because, you know what we do with technology. Bury it, right? Kill them, stuff like that. Get rid of the inventors. Yeah, allegedly, maybe. Of course. But yeah, this is pretty wild. China's beating us again, Trump. Where's our fusion reactor, huh? Where's our fusion reactor, Trump? All right, let's read on. First fusion power by 2030. 16 coils will form a ring holding plasma at 100 million Celsius. I think we read that, right? Oh, here. It's actually gross. This Adam says, tweets this. It's actually gross the amount of money China spends on things like unlimited clean energy for its citizens when it could be sending that money to Israel instead. He's got a point. There's people in Israel that could use that money. Like, the Chinese are very selfish. They're a selfish people because they want clean energy for their people, and it should be shipped off for somebody else. Very, very interesting. So China is offering its citizens clean, free energy. I wonder why we want to go to war with them, huh? Interesting. But, you know, our government's pretty cool, right? No, because check it out. Dark Garbaggio says Trump's CDC awards Pfizer $1.24 billion for COVID vaccines through 2027. The contract issued June 1st covers pediatric doses at 736 million, adult doses at 505 million for the rest of fiscal 2026 and all of 2027. Pediatric doses, right? Okay, that's pretty maha. They drew fire from Republican lawmakers, Trump supporters, and maha advocates who called it a betrayal amid low booster uptake, 9% for kids and 17% for adults, and concerns over side effects like heart inflammation in children. Yet, let's give them more money to make more. Okay. We're doing great, guys. We are truly fucking winning here. On June 1st, the agency awarded Pfizer contracts worth roughly $1.24 billion for COVID-19 vaccines for the remainder of fiscal 2026 and fiscal 2027. So the shot, it's still around if you need one. CVS is still giving it out. So the Trump administration has cut $600 million in funding for critical HIV and STD prevention programs. Well, that's great, isn't it? That's a step in the right direction. The Trump administration has terminated $600 million in CDC grants and that were dedicated to HIV and STD prevention and surveillance programs. The cuts primarily affect public health initiatives in California, Colorado, Illinois, and Minnesota, with officials stating the grants do not align with agency priorities and citing concerns over fraud and mismanagement in those states. That, you know, has some validity to it. Health advocates warn that the move could lead to higher rates of sexually transmitted diseases nationwide by reducing testing, prevention efforts, and access to treatments like PrEP. This decision is part of broader shifts in federal health funding priorities under the current administration. Well, I guess people are going to have to be a little bit more responsible. Okay? Because nobody's looking out for your wee-wee no more. Not Mr. Trump, at least. No, he's not. Did I call him Mr.? That's the president I'm talking about. All right, I guess this is like the health section, because next up we got a clip from Starbucks, and they're exposing this blending powder that they have to stick in their new drinks. And it's like a stabilizer, gum arabic, maltodextrin, xanthan gum, natural flavor. But this is nice. Silica and stevia extract. Silica dioxide. Right? Silicone dioxide as an anti-caking agent. Take a listen to this clip. I'll speed it up if...
Okay guys, so this is me and Lori. We're going to be testing out the blending powder because as you guys know it's toxic.
Alright, they're just blended. They're just trying to be cute for a reel. But anyway, I'll read what the problem is. Silica is silicon dioxide. It acts as an anti-caking agent. This is a very controversial ingredient for health concerns. But it's also a concern for these Starbucks employees because inhaling it is dangerous. Fine silica dust can become airborne when the powder is scooped. Prolonged and repeated inhalation of certain forms of silica is linked to serious lung conditions like silicosis. So we should get this in our drinks, right? They say you shouldn't put this in our drink. I say more. Give me more silicone dioxide. I want fucking mountains of it in my Starbucks. Okay? That's going to be great. This is what people want. People want the poison. They want to be poisoned. Because do you see Starbucks? Are they going to get hit with this? They're letting their fucking employees make these videos. It's probably doing better for their fucking business. Let's see, is there anything relevant in this clip at all? They talk? They just play this music. It's pretty gross, though. I guess that's the wet silicone.
This is an emulsifier and still about this quote blending powder, and it's going in more and more of their drinks. And let's just take a look at what it is. So here are the ingredients right here, and the purpose is it acts as an emulsifier and stabilizer. The gums and other components help create a smoother, more consistent frozen blended texture and slows separation that would otherwise happen sooner after the drink leaves the blender. So basically
poison, so you don't
that the drink
poison, so you have pretty fucking food. You got to have poison.
Stays exactly how it was when it was made.
Yeah.
But there are real health concerns that go along with this.
He's just he's going to go over what I just read. So go get your Starbucks, guys. It's delicious. This from Dr. David. The state of Florida is launching a study on ivermectin. Why did I just turn into Fauci? A study on ivermectin to see if it can potentially cure cancer. This is huge. Check out the clip.
It's so important. So that's one of the components of this first round of grants that are going out. And then the second portion of this, and honestly, I've had so many people come up to me and talk about this, and that is the generic drug repurposing component of this grant. And so that's specifically for things like ivermectin. So I know that that's been in the news quite a bit. It made a lot of news during COVID. Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about people that he was friends with, and they overcame stage 4 cancer. And so here's like my perspective, and I've talked to the Surgeon General about this. Like, that's generic form. I think it costs like 77 cents per pill. Is there any incentive on the part of some to want to research this when you're not guaranteed to have a big ROI, right? If you have a novel technology or a pharmaceutical and you have that monopoly and that competitive edge, well, then you're probably going to make a lot more money. If you're researching like something like ivermectin that's generic, are you going to be able to find a study that you can get the money to be able to fund it, but are you guaranteed revenue for your company going down in the future? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that we should look at it. We should look at the benefits of it. We shouldn't just speculate and guess. We should, as the state of Florida, with over $1 billion in funding since Ron DeSantis took office for cancer, we should be looking into things that are in generic form. And do they show outcomes? And do they show hope for people who are suffering? And we're uniquely positioned to do that because we're not in it for an ROI from a corporate standpoint. We're in it for an ROI on behalf of you, the taxpayer, and you who has a family member who's suffering from cancer, and God forbid that you suffer from cancer. And so that's why I think we're uniquely positioned to be able to help people. And I'm just, honestly, I don't like talking about cancer ever. I told Dr. Panetta on more than one occasion I'd rather sit in my closet and never say the cancer word again, but I am so immensely proud of what this state has done to really step up, to try to provide hope to a lot of people, to invest in meaningful things. It's one thing to appropriate money, but it's another thing to drive outcomes, to hold yourself accountable, and to try to incentivize prevention and better treatment. So
yeah, Florida is doing really good. They took away property tax. You know, aside from the free speech laws, just can't have free speech. Give up that freedom. Florida's not bad. Not bad. A little hot, but I could deal. All right, well, turns out that Trump may be going for a third term, guys. This is from C-SPAN and Benny Johnson.
Doing good together. That's why tonight, but we are all doing good together. That's why tonight, to show just how much I care about the press, and I want to save your ratings, I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a 4th term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, yeah.
He's fucking with him. He's got to be just screwing. He's trolling.
I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times. Did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it. You know, it's interesting. When you come back and you do a good job like we did, and you don't care about it so much, but we do have to tighten up these elections because they really are in seriously bad shape. But
oh, they truly are. If they were even fucking real. Don't buy into the fucking election bullshit. And as you can see, he's still making his rounds. He's Trump disrupted in Michigan while someone called him a PDF protector for not releasing the rest of the Epstein files. Check it out.
and companies were coming in and just robbing us blind, and it was causing tremendous problems for your jobs. But now all of that is changing because I placed historic tariffs on foreign producers and manufacturers, including a 25% tariff on foreign automobiles, something that no other president had the courage to ever do.
You see that look? I wonder what they're going to do with that guy, the heckler. What do you think they do with those guys?
He's a communist.
Oh, he's a commie.
Thank you. He's a communist. We're running against communists. Now, this is great. What's going on? But we're going to win very big. No, I didn't even hear the guy, I think. I don't know.
Word him. Yeah. You are running against a communist shit. This is gonna be a fun one. All right, we got some news on the NDAA. A great development from Ian Malcolm 84. The Senate voted against the NDAA 50-46, denying Israel a merger with the U.S. The 46 who voted in favor should face charges for treason. I agree. But that'll never happen. But take a listen to this. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, former congresswoman, and she's going to explain there's an easy yes and a no yes, and a hard yes, or an easy no and a hard no. She explains it a lot better than me. Hold on while it skips.
Hey guys, I just want to follow up on a video that I put out explaining the NDAA vote that happened yesterday, explaining the two votes. Every time a bill passes the House floor, it has to cross two hurdles. The first vote is called the rule vote. The second vote is final passage vote. Now, that's super confusing and it's really stupid, but that's the way they do it. We had 7 total Republicans vote no on final passage to the NDAA because of Section 219 and other issues that they didn't like within the bill. We are thankful to them for voting no. However, that was a safe no vote, and let me explain that. There's 2 ways to vote no. There's the safe no vote, which is voting no on a bill when you know it's going to pass, so you don't have to make anybody mad, and you can still vote no because it's going to pass even without your vote. Then there's the courageous no vote, and that is voting no on the rule, the first vote for that bill to cross to final passage. When you vote no on the rule vote, you're voting no against everyone. You're voting no against leadership. You're voting no against the White House. You are taking a hard stand and saying, I am 100% against this bill. I do not want it to pass. There was only one Republican that took the courageous no vote on the rule vote. That was Thomas Massie. He voted no. The other Republicans only voted no on the second vote, the final passage vote, when they knew that the bill was going to pass, okay? So there's a difference, and that's what you need to understand. There's the 2 votes. One is the rule vote. The second vote is final passage. And the most courageous vote any member of Congress can take is voting no on the rule. Here's the difference. The rule vote passed 213 to 212. 213 to 212. If those 6 other Republicans had voted no with Thomas Massie on the rule vote, the rule would have failed and the NDAA could not have moved forward to the second final passage vote. However, they voted yes on the rule, allowing it to move forward, and Thomas was the only one that voted no. But when it came to final passage, 6 decided to vote no then because it was safe. You want to know why? Because there were 6 Democrats that were voting yes. That's what you need to know. If you want to put your members of Congress into action,
even the odds.
Call them and start
not to do anything. Now listen to this. Call
Don't
them,
let them
talk to them,
make videos and
blah blah blah.
wash their hands
They're
and
not
say,
gonna
I
do
did everything I
fucking
could.
shit
No, if they really want to stop
if it's
something,
not in the
vote no on
best
the rule.
interest of you know who. You know who, right? Said it with an accent. All right. This vote represents a dramatic shift in Democratic policies. What is this? Oh, okay. My bad. I jumped the gun a little bit. Sorry. From Jenna Lynn King. Turns out that they are taking some donation buttons away from those 6 Democrats that... Oh, no. This is a different vote. Okay. After nearly half of the House Democrats voted to end U.S. aid to Israel, AIPAC shut down online donations. Thought it was the same vote. 103 House Democrats just voted to cut $3.3 billion in U.S. military aid to Israel. AIPAC's response, it pulled the donation plug on 15 of them, including number 2 House Democrat. That's great. Great. On Wednesday, the 15th, the House voted on an amendment introduced by Representative Thomas Massie that would have prohibited all $3.3 billion in U.S. aid to Israel from State Department funding bill. The vote, 103 Democrats voted yes, 1 Republican voted yes. Total 104 yes. The amendment failed 314 to 104. 98 Democrats voted no, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. See? This is like, it's flip and flop, and everybody keep fighting. Everybody keep just bullshit. Bunch of crap. You're going to see. It's all fucking fake. All fake and gay. AIPAC's retaliation. Within days, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee removed online donations buttons for 15 House Democrats it had previously endorsed for re-election. Among those affected, Representative Catherine Clark, Massachusetts House. Minority Whip number 2 House, it's the same thing, and she's the Minority Whip number 2 House Democrat. Representative Joe Neguse, member of leadership. Representative Pat Ryan, New York, who renounced AIPAC money after the vote. The donations buttons were active as recently as July 6th. By July 17th, they were gone. Very quick, they turn on you. Very quick. You need to vote in their favor, or there you go. There goes your donation button. They were AIPAC's website still listed the Democrats as pro-Israel, but the option to donate them had been disabled. We're deeply appreciative to the 314 Republicans and Democrats who voted to reject Thomas Massie's latest anti-Israel effort and are disappointed by the 103 Democrats who voted with Massie to weaken America and our ally Israel. To weaken America. That's like just pathetic. Why this matters. This vote represents a dramatic shift in Democratic policies. Support for Israel has become a liability with young and left-leaning Democratic voters. Are the Democrats going to save the day? No. They're going to make you think you are, so you go and vote Democrat. Trust me, that's the way they're going to swing this one. Progressive primary victories over AIPAC-backed incumbents have instilled fear in House Democrats. Poll shows a broader decline in Democratic support for continued aid to Israel. Yeah, so that's how this is going to swing. That's just what I'm thinking. You know, people are really going to vote, or they take... That's why AIPAC's getting their, like, donation thing. They're hiding the fact, and they're using different ways to route their money to... Yep. Yeah. It's going to be, are you pro or are you not pro? That's all. That's how it's going to roll. Check out this guy. This is from Alex Jones. American veteran believes the merger of the U.S. military with Israeli forces is in preparation for a military occupation of the United States by Israel and its collaborators. I hate to break it to you, Alex. We are already fucking occupied, bro. Occupato. I don't know. You got me fired up. Let's continue. House passes Stop Insider Trading Act, but Trump is exempt. From Newsweek, the House passed the Stop Insider Trading Act in a 232 to 198 vote, barring members of Congress and their families from buying individual stocks but President Donald Trump is exempt. Of course. Of course. The House of Representatives has passed the Stop Insider Trading Act, a measure Republicans have touted as a major ethics reform designed to prevent lawmakers from profiting from information gained through their official duties. Yeah, have you seen how much some of these guys have come out with? Come on. But while the bill would impose new restrictions on members of Congress and their families, it would not apply to President Trump. I don't think this is going to even go through. The House passed the Stop Insider Trading Act 232 to 198. Oh, I already read that. I'm doing. The legislation passed the House 232-198 on Wednesday, with a handful of Democrats joining Republicans in support, though it also drew criticism from Democrats, ethics groups, and some Republicans who argued it falls short of true stock trading ban. Among the complaints was that the measure exempts the president and vice president while allowing lawmakers to keep stocks that they already own. Okay, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on. You pass a law to stop insider trading. The president and the vice president can still continue so they can get out scot-free while you crash the fucking market and the world economy. All righty then, right? I see what's going on. Maybe, allegedly that's maybe what's happening, right? Yeah, I don't know. And what's up with these wildfires, right? Who is behind these wildfires? They're happening everywhere. Canada, Argentina, now Machu Picchu. Isn't that the pyramids? I think that's like ancient, and Saskatchewan. That's like ancient alien shit. Wildfires once again struck Peru's Cusco, threatening areas surrounding Machu Picchu and Saskatchewan, burning 10 hectares. The site is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and vital for Peruvians and the millions of tourists all around. While police detained one suspect, their identity has not been revealed, and key questions remain unanswered, including the cause of the fire, the full extent of the damage, and who ultimately stands to benefit if protected land is altered or loses value. Many online commentators and media figures, as well as locals, have pointed fingers at Israeli interests, citing reports of foreign land purchases and investment in Peru's Sacred Valley, alongside similar places like Cyprus and Patagonia. Patagonia just got over some nice wildfires, right? And they found IDF grenades there. Yes, IDF grenades. I wonder what they were doing there, right? No, but they didn't have anything to do with it. And I'll bet if they haven't had some fires in Cyprus yet, there may be some coming, allegedly, maybe. But we will have to see. While there's currently no public evidence linking Israel to these fires, and police have not attributed responsibility beyond announcing the detention of a suspect, that hasn't stopped people from making the connections based on their increasing presence in the region and the backlash from locals. So people are seeing more and more and more. So they're, putting two and two together. Israel's real past of burning Palestinian farmland, its current expansion into Latin America, and its historic policies of settler colonialism have played a role in their alleged involvement in the recent fires in Latin America. Really, though, that little thing with Gaza, the little tiny thing, the little scrape with the Palestinians? Yeah, well, maybe that might, leave a little mark, a little impression on people. I'm just saying. Israeli interests have also been at the forefront of land buying in Kenya and Albania, where U.S. envoy Jared Kushner and Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, desired to buy an island, and that led to mass protests. As investigations continue, the question of who benefits from the burning of land and its reallocation in terms of land ownership, foreign investment, and conservation have become both culturally and historically significant, and there's detailed history as to why Israel is often named. They're not just pulling it out of their asses, right? I think that's what they're saying. Yeah. On social media, one local account said he's had this happen before in Cusco in 2022 with the same suspicions, but the fire was blamed on grassland burning. Another Peruvian says the technique is to burn certain areas and then take possession of them and resell the land. He also stated that the land from previous fires is now occupied by foreigners who have built houses there. Well, that's kind of weird because that's what they did with the farmland in Gaza, huh? Strange. Coincidence, though. You know how much we believe in coincidence around there. Israel accused of fires in Patagonia and Chile. On January 5th, 2026, arsonists set fires to Patagonia's native forest, burning up 52,000 acres in Argentina's Chubut province. On January 16th, 2026, 30,000 hectares burn in the Biobío in Nubel regions in Chile. Social media accounts accused IDF soldiers visiting tourists of starting the fires. While some media dismissed this as anti-Semitic, Israelis have been named since 2011, with the most recent being an arrest of an Israeli accused of arson in Torres del Paine National Park in Chile. All right, so it's not that far-fetched, okay? Not that far-fetched it might be. One major argument is that major fires can sometimes change the future use or value of the land, making ownership and development vital to locals who fear being outbid by foreigners. Israeli-linked interests could benefit from damage to protected land, and some Israelis are buying land in the Sacred Valley with reports of foreign investments and land acquisitions in part of Cusco, as well as Cyprus and Argentina. Land purchases, zoning decisions, and investments are critical in areas like this, which can easily fall under control of wealthier settlers. Who's buying land abroad? Kenya pursued a plan to lend land to Israel to create a settlement. Interesting. Financed by Standard Bank of South Africa, which drew criticism and a reminder of Kenya being under British rule. An Israeli developer has recently been the subject, so just settle in somebody else's country. Don't worry about it. We're setting up shop right here. And it drew controversy. This is out of this world. An Israeli developer has recently been the subject of controversy for building vacation homes and luxury amenities on land in Kenya, which he hoped would attract both Kenyans and Israelis. Meanwhile, in Albania, mass protests erupted against U.S. envoy Jared Kushner and his wife Ivanka Trump over their plan to build a luxury resort on former military base on Sazan Island. Very interesting stuff. And if you want to know why, they may feel like they could just set up shop wherever the fuck they want and just settle on in, Argentina's president Javier Milei is a vowed Zionist who initiated the Isaac Accords with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, a diplomatic, economic, and technological framework modeled after the Abraham Accords set to strengthen ties between Israel and Latin American nations, to flip them over, to occupy Latin America. Peru's newly elected president, Keiko Fujimori, right-wing pro-Israel, you heard that one? Like Barbara Walters. Pro-Israel politician, was also thanked by Israeli Minister of Foreign Affairs, who said she would expand the two countries' cooperation. Very interesting. Very interesting. These new, new heads of state. Newly elected, Peru's newly elected, and then, then you got these fires just throwing up. Very, peculiar a little, to say the least, but, what do I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Really, from wildfires to mass migration, none of it is organic. All of this is orchestrated by somebody. Take a look at this, what's going on in Spain. 50,000 Moroccan Muslims are taking the key Spanish port of Ceuta. So the massive flotillas already invading the Spanish mainland can intensify as Netanyahu makes good on his threat to attack Spain. Let's check out this Alex Jones clip.
So the Spanish government opened the door for this, but earlier this year and last year, Benjamin Netanyahu, in public statements and in letters he wrote to the Muslim Moroccans, said that since the Spanish government is not supporting Israel's war with Iran.
Yeah, take a look at this. This is Benji Netanyahu's son. Dear Arabs and Muslims, want to free occupied Arab Islamic lands? Here's a good start. And he points out, whatchamacallit, this Quetta, as one place to start. Interesting, right? Pretty interesting, but no. We just got a problem with migration. You know,
And not letting B-2 bombers fly out of Spain, that they said that Israel said they would back and recognize Moroccans taking the one little city the Spanish have had for hundreds and hundreds of years there in Morocco.
And this is Benji Netanyahu threatening Spain. Those who attack the state of Israel instead of terrorist regimes will not be our partners regarding the future of the region. And I'm not willing to tolerate the hypocrisy and hostility. It doesn't intend to allow any country to wage diplomatic war against them without paying an immediate
The left fitting in. Well, it's
price.
not really an invasion because, you know, it's Morocco. Well, they then use Morocco as a staging ground with the UN NGOs to invade Spain proper. And we have similar footage that you're seeing here to the coastal towns in Spain and play those on a weekly basis.
That's rough. So, you know, they want you to think that this is a migrant emergency, so we in the United States can look at it and we have to strengthen our borders and everything like that. I'm not saying that we don't have a migrant problem. Trust me. We got it bad. But this is to punish Spain for what they for the stance they took on Gaza and the war in Iran. And it's all orchestrated. Take a look at this. This is a psyop.
It's a lot worse than we thought. Spanish officials now estimate that nearly 50,000 migrants crossed into the city of Ceuta from Morocco in the last 24 hours alone.
Okay, this has to be the most obvious and blatant CIA Mossad psyop of all time. First off, the area that we're talking about is actually a Spanish enclave on the continent of Africa, so quite easy, logistically speaking, to transport tens of thousands of people. Which, getting to the psyop part, Marco Rubio was literally talking about this a couple months ago, calling for Morocco to quote-unquote take back their land. And who?
All orchestrated, people.
Who else was talking about this? Israel, of course, because the current government of Spain is anti-Zionist, so they want to sow discord, they want to create chaos in Spain to try to overthrow their government. Netanyahu's son literally tweeted about this. Okay, there's absolutely nothing organic about this crisis. So why is it happening? A, because they want to punish Spain for being one of the first European nations to recognize the state of Palestine. Spanish fans were literally celebrating their World Cup win a couple weeks ago by waving the Palestinian flag. So Israel and America not happy about this. And B, despite Marco Rubio fomenting the initial invasion, the White House gets to now spin this as some sort of migrant crisis that is about to hit American shores because of Joe Biden and the Democrats, and also Marxism. This is a test for the American public. Will they fall for yet another blatant psyop?
Let's see what happens, right? We're going to have to see what happens. But as you can see, Benji Netanyahu's son, dear Arabs and Muslims, want to free occupied Arab Islamic lands. Here's a good start. And he points out that Sweta. Here's Benji Netanyahu, and he is threatening Spain. Spain defamed the IMF, the most moral army in the world, and they repeatedly oppose Israel. I cannot tolerate the hostility without them paying an immediate price. As you can see, there's a price being paid. Here's a breakdown from Den Bilzerian. Spain condemns Israel. Then Netanyahu says Spain will pay the ultimate price. Then Spain is flooded with thousands of Moroccan migrants. Then Israel congratulates Morocco for the first time ever on social media. And Israel Foreign Ministry says, to the Kingdom of Morocco, its leadership and its people, we extend our warmest congratulations on the occasion of the glorious Throne Day. Sincerely, Israel. We've been planning this for a while. Trump pinned a Truth Social post thanking King Mohammed VI of Morocco from 5 days ago. So Trump goes, "Thank you, highly respected Mohammed VI, the King of Morocco. Such a great honor. I look forward to traveling the entire length of this great highway someday, hopefully soon." President Donald J. Trump. Yeah. So as you can see, all of them, they're all in the same fucking team. And Thomas Massie says, do not fall for the fake GOP outrage. 2 weeks ago, the House passed a bill that green-lighted the transfer of Spanish territory to Morocco. Every Republican except me voted for it, and now they're acting shocked at an invasion. Not only that, but take a look at this. We give them not less than $20 million under national security investment programs and another not less than $20 million under foreign military financing programs. Just giving it away. Just giving it away. That's what Thomas Massie was opposed to. But, yeah, this is all organic. This is just a crisis. Here's another fun fact. The Trump administration announced that diamonds will be exempt from tariffs. A few weeks prior, one of the world's largest foreign diamond exporters presented Trump with a diamond-studded ring. It was 18 karat gold, 321 natural diamonds, and 75 gemstones. Guess what Israel's biggest export is? Diamonds. Interesting, right? Nice. All right, what do we got next? Well, it's looking like, according to this post, Alex Jones may or may not be bugged by the government, like in his head or something like that. Take a listen to this clip. They read some frequency signals when he was in this interview, and pretty scary stuff. Check it out.
People wake up soon, man.
When you are able to completely control biometrics, biochemical responses, emotional responses through just frequency emissions. I have a spectrum analyzer right here. We're always being bombarded with frequencies. In fact, one of the frequencies that we're detecting right now happens to be from Homeland Security, which I found quite interesting. When you walked into the room, it popped up.
Which means it's my phone.
Oh my! Well, yeah, they would be. I guess they would be spying on you.
Yes. But my point is,
We'll show that. Make sure, or give them a file of this. How do we get a shot of this?
Maybe lift it up.
I'll actually
interrupt it a little bit.
Yeah. This frequency right here. This frequency right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to.
We're going to identify it.
Yeah. Well, I noticed it as soon as Alex came in.
All right.
That frequency right there.
Right there.
Yeah. It's at minus 48 dB, but actually it got up to minus 28 dB when Alex walked in, so I knew it had to do something with Alex.
So you learn what frequencies are associated with what agencies?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years.
Well, it's well known that certain, like the police use this, the feds use that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so you're able to see.
So what will be the main vector? My cell phone?
I don't think it's your cell phone. Your cell phone would be a different.
I think it's chips in me?
Yeah. That's always a possibility. I didn't even think about that. But no, my sense is, no, this is an RF signal that's satellite based. This does cross over into the RFID sector too.
So they know where I'm at off the cell phone triangulation and have other stuff that angles? Or
Correct.
Like stingrays or?
Well, you don't need that anymore. You don't need, remember we learned with the ghost murmur. They can track anyone they want on this planet, no matter where you're at all times.
I'm sure there's going to be more that comes. Jesse, you've talked extensively about detecting it. What have you found that can block it?
Well, unfortunately, right now, nothing. Okay, this frequency, and I've taken people.
Privacy is dead.
Correct. There's no such thing as privacy. Now, remember in 1974, they were reading thoughts then. What these victims are experiencing now, and I've already known this, but we just had our Rafe Hazel, our MI6 whistleblower, who shared with the world that MI6 and MI6 assets were being told to take the system in them, and they were going to like it because in his perspective, it saved his life in certain situations when he was on covert mission. It's a synthetic telepathy system where they can communicate in real time, in nano latency, with their superiors and told what to do in certain situations. It gave them plausible deniability, so they wouldn't be exposed as an MI6 asset and so forth.
Did he also say, correct me if I'm wrong, that what he thought was automatically collected so he didn't have to record it, what he's seen and what he heard was being recorded? That means that internal system does all that for him. Why wouldn't it be able to do that for everybody? And if everybody didn't know they have this system, they're walking around recording everything for a data center. That really brings the whole story to full circle. What he said, it was cognitively intrusive. So much so that he demanded that they stop communicating with him that way. He wanted to go back to traditional drop boxes, traditional electronics intelligence mechanisms and protocols that they utilize in order to disseminate information.
Synthetic telepathy. So they're implanting either thoughts or reading thoughts off of Alex Jones. This is some wild shit.
Information between each other.
Well, that speaks to, again, the question of the data centers, because ultimately what Rafe kind of hit on is that the government, the deep state, it has the capability to turn every single one of us into a surveillance device. Not our cell phones, us. And what are they doing? They're trying to store that surveillance information.
And that's what the data centers are for, possibly, right? That's where they're storing all the surveillance they collect through our eyes. So is Alex Jones possibly controlled? This might be proof of controlled opposition. He's got signals coming from Homeland Security, people. Very, very scary stuff. Or is it smart dust? Take a look at this clip from Tucker Carlson on smart dust or stim dust. It's pretty wild too. Check it out. Come on.
Smart dust, dust-sized cameras floating around like dandelion seeds, was originally conceived as a weapon. The idea was that helicopters and drones could drop smart dust into the air, and that would serve as a battlefield sensor network. And researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, announced they'd expanded on the concept by creating something called stim dust. Stim dust gives the operator control over your nervous system. According to a press release, stim dust has, quote, opened the door for wireless communication to the brain and peripheral nervous system through tiny implantable devices inside the body that
are they using stim dust for Alex Jones?
Powered by ultrasound. The researchers successfully implanted stim dust in a live rodent. They were able by doing this to, quote, control hind leg motion. Today the world is watching you. Tomorrow the world could be controlling you like a video game character.
This right here is from UC Berkeley. This is one of their videos. You can see they have their rat right here. This is going to be the device that they're going to implant, and they're going to use this device here to trigger the device and control the rat. And they actually do that here. Here is that device being actually implanted. And right here, if you go further in the video, it's a little bit graphic, so I'll kind of skip these parts, but you can see that they actually did this test. And right here, they shock it. But again, it's a little bit graphic, so I'm not going to show it on X. But they were successful in doing this, so why are they doing this is the big question. The researchers that are doing this are hoped this can lead to applications of smart dust used to treat diseases like heart irregularities, chronic pain, asthma, and epilepsy. So there are legitimate medical uses for this that they're saying, so that's not just being made to control people. You know, they actually want to help with diseases. But on the other hand, if the government gets in control of these kind of things, or globalists, we know these people are very evil, and it is very right to be cautious of what they could do with something that can literally control your nerves and your motor functions.
That's crazy. What do you guys think of that? Pretty crazy stuff. You know, could they control people? Was this guy in the Charlie Kirk case being controlled? The Patsy, Tyler Robinson? Was that him? There's some new footage that came out. Candace Owens is providing of unedited footage of the rooftop. You guys want to take a look at this? All right, I'm going to speed it up a little bit because it's a lengthy video.
This limp that he has in the footage is completely removed. So let's watch that. Okay.
I don't see any limp.
Now what happens next is exactly as my source stipulated. Our rooftop guy begins a tactical crawl. It's actually known in the military as a lateral crawl. Let's watch that.
And he goes into the crawl. Goes right,
There
then
he
goes
goes.
left.
And I actually do want to show you side by side so you can actually see a real military man do that alongside this person on the rooftop. Let's bring in that side by side clip. Here we go. That general action right there is known as a lateral crawl. Now, you may have noted, if you're just looking at your eyes, some sort of a flash that just took place, right? We're going to show you that slowed down and just kind of discuss this. We've gone back and forth here. What is that? Is he pulling something out? Is it like a signal mirror? Is it a flag? Was it already on Losey Center? Is it actually something that's in the background that's just catching weird? Is it a car? And we're just thinking that we see this flash, but we're just going to show you that so that it's clear. Back and forth flash there while he's military crawling. Here we go. There, and we're running that back and forth there. Okay, so you now have that. Next up, what you're going to see is that it's going to look as though, as he gets into position and completes this lateral crawl, that he thrusts something forward in a way that my brain told me it looked like he was unfolding a gun. Truly, that's what my brain told me. Maybe it's because I had this guy and told me about how full they are. I don't know. It's not definitive. That's me narrating. I'm happy for people to disagree and debate what is seen. But let's just watch that portion here. There we go. Something forward. And we can watch that again. Something
Yeah, it definitely looks like something got unfolded.
forward. Again.
Flipped
But more
forward.
importantly than what we see here is what we're not going to see here. So remember, this is supposed to be a German 98 Mauser family heirloom gun used during World War I and World War II. That'll effectively take your shoulder out when it's fired. Even the newer models, if you go watch people shooting, they're like, oh, my shoulder. And if you're looking through a scope, as he allegedly was, you might even expect a black eye. You will recall that the guy who recorded the footage specifically told us that he saw no recoil. That's pretty crucial. He just saw the guy get up and run. And that would be, I would argue, were a lawyer in court, that would be impossible for this specific make and model of gun. So let's watch and see if we, with our eyes, can observe some sort of a kickback. And again, I have to apologize. This is not like Benny Johnson 4K footage, but it's at least clear enough here on your screen that you would be able to discern a strong kickback on a gun from somebody who's just laying down taking a shot. So I'm going to let this run. It's about 50 seconds. And you just let me know if at any point you see that before he gets up and breaks into a sprint. Take a look. There you go. That's that unfolding again. And by the way, if you are listening to this in audio, this is one of these episodes that you actually do have to go watch. So you will have to come over to
there's a recoil.
YouTube,
You
to
can't
Spotify,
see it.
Somewhere that provides the video, because this is not something that we could just produce on an audio podcast here, unfortunately. But this is going to run. We did have to obviously zoom in and push out those fed timestamps, but see here, we have 10 more seconds here. Okay, he is up.
Nothing, no recoil. Yeah, so he's up, off and running. I didn't see any recoil. I don't know if you guys saw anything, but like we known from the start, none of this shit is adding up. It is definitely not the story that they are selling. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? Well, I got some bad news, because here's something they are trying to sell us, is signing up for the draft. Take a listen to this clip from Ethan Levin.
You will be registered automatically. Just 4 weeks after the midterm elections and after Trump said he can outweigh Iran, you will be eligible for the draft. And because it's automatic, if they come to your door and say you've been drafted, you legally have no way to fight back or tell them no. And in December, this takes place 1 month before the American-Israeli Military Integration Act in 2027. We are going to be automatically registered for the military draft 1 month after the elections for the first time in history, and 1 month before the American and Israeli militaries merge. You can look up all of this. It is all true, and we are now running out of time. I don't have an answer. If they enact the draft, we are automatically registered. End of story. Breaking news on December 1st, you and I will be automatically placed in the Selective Service Draft.
Yep, that's for real. They made it automatic about 1.5 years ago. So, yeah. They're already running simulations on how they're going to mobilize everybody. So it's getting pretty scary out there. From RT, large number of U.S. troops killed or wounded in drone attack on Kuwait's Ali al-Salem base. 6 large hangars completely destroyed. I think I have a clip here. Let's check out this clip.
100 American soldiers were sleeping here in Ali Salem Air Base in Kuwait. If you can tell in the before and after, all of these barracks are destroyed. A single Iranian missile has destroyed 5 army barracks, which hold at least 40 American soldiers each during the night. We would have to assume that hundreds of American soldiers in the middle of the night had to wake up and get to a shelter within maybe 2 minutes of this happening. As of now, the U.S. says that not even anybody was injured in this attack. I personally find that very hard to believe. The smoke that was rising above Kuwait where this attack happened also says pretty otherwise. Now remember, Donald Trump says that Iran doesn't have a military and that it's been fully wiped out. But that is just clearly not true. So what else is he lying about? Could they be lying about casualty numbers? The week has already seen multiple American soldiers lose their lives. As the week goes on, more and more from days ago are coming up. It takes around 3 to 4 days for the U.S. to officially announce it, meaning we could see a big amount very soon. Make sure to comment your thoughts and follow me.
Yeah, they're definitely hiding the numbers. CNN put out a report on some of the numbers they've been hiding. Let's take a listen to this clip right.
Unprecedented destruction. A CNN investigation discovering Iran has caused unprecedented destruction. A CNN investigation discovering Iran has caused extensive damage to a majority of the U.S. military sites in the region. Precise Iranian missile and drone strikes, aided by sophisticated Chinese technology, hitting some of America's most crucial military assets in the Middle East. The extent of the damage unknown until now. Our Tamara Kablawi is out front.
Camp Buehring, Kuwait. American soldiers enjoying a karaoke night at one of the biggest U.S. military hubs in the Gulf. That was then. This is now. A once bustling American microcity in the desert, nearly empty and heavily damaged after a weeks-long barrage of Iranian missiles and drones. One of many U.S. military facilities in the oil-rich Arabian Peninsula, targeted by Iran even as the U.S. and Israel pummeled the Islamic Republic's large arsenal. So what impact have Iran's strikes had on America's footprint in the Middle East? A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, so they're hiding the numbers, and the war is getting worse and worse and worse. They are trying to, hide the extent of the damage, but with satellite data that Iran is providing, you could see all of the damage that has been going on. A lot of these air bases, a lot of data centers are getting taken out. But we are winning, right? We're so winning that from Megatron, the U.S. is running so low on interceptors that the military is forced to pick and choose which targets get hit by Iranian ballistic missiles and drones, per NBC News. That's how good we're doing out there. We've resorted to using old technology. Check this out. This is from the War Tune News on Instagram. The U.S. is buying 1990s missiles again. The first order of older Patriots in over 30 years. Why it matters. The war with Iran has drained U.S. stockpiles. American forces fired an estimated 1,000 to 1,400 Patriot interceptors in 6 weeks, and the Pentagon rushed a $441.6 million order to Raytheon to restock. The older missile is not as good, but it can be built. The PAC-2 is less capable than the newer PAC-3, but far cheaper and faster to produce. Only one U.S. factory still makes it. So that's where we are with our interceptors. But no, we're winning. We're winning. And that's why, we're holding off on said strikes. We were planning the biggest and worst strike ever, and I think we probably still are planning it. And it was going to go off this weekend, but Trump decided to hold back. He decided to hold back on a strike, and it's mainly because we don't have the weaponry to pull it off. But he's saying that we're trying to cut deals with Iran, and the talks are going good, and we'll hold off on the strikes because the talks are going good. And yes, they want to come to the table, and yes, they want to get rid of all their nuclear arms. And The strait is going to be reopened. The Hormuz report says a source close to Iran's chief negotiator says Tehran has rejected 3 U.S.-backed ceasefire proposals this week, delivered through Qatar, Iraq, and Pakistan, which reportedly angered Donald Trump and pushed him to announce this massive strike on Iran and their infrastructure. Honestly, Trump is begging to get out of this. He's begging, and they're not going to let him out. He's trapped. He's trapped, but we are flying blind out there. They've taken out all our early warning systems, all of our nice and expensive $2 billion radars, gone. Gone. Take a listen to this clip from Mario Norfolk. He's got some Malcolm Nance, U.S. Naval Intel officer, and he's going to talk about what's going on with our equipment out there.
Factor was the destruction of the early warning radars over the past year since the 12-day war till today. How big of a role did that play? And how big of a role will that play in America? And how big of a role will it play in America's ability to conduct operations like it did in March?
Yeah, well, it certainly had a massive impact on there. Don't forget a $2 billion Qatari radar, right? Was destroyed by 2 $20,000 drones. Just wiped it out, and that thing was like controlling all of the airspace over the entire Persian Gulf. Then they started hitting not just the long-range radars, but the vehicle-mounted THAAD radars for the Theater High-Altitude Air Defense System. They hit one in the United Arab Emirates. They hit one inside Jordan. And that just essentially blinded us. They said the one in Jordan that was hit in April, if I'm not mistaken, was the reason that the Israelis had so much early warning, up to 10 to 12 minutes for ballistic missiles that were coming down. That's Bahrain. I know that place anywhere. That's Navy.
That's the image. The image is, this is just to be clear, this is an image by Iranian media that's been manipulated, but it gives you an idea of how the radar, the one on the left, how the radar looks like.
Yeah, I don't think that they manipulated much. I think that these are some pretty clear images here, and I don't think that they had to do anything. We saw live that radar dome. That's the comms dish over behind 5th Commander 5th Fleet headquarters and what they call the Joint Maritime Operations Center, Joint Maritime Center in Bahrain. That took a direct hit from a drone, and we saw it live. So that's what it's going to look like. And then don't forget, the base was abandoned. 5th Fleet Command headquarters moved all of its personnel to Norfolk, Virginia, and was doing everything by telemetry. The Iranians just kept hitting that base because it was easy target, because nobody's defending it, right? So easy. Yeah, there's the video. That's the impact. That was like first week of the war. Unhealthy. But the Iranians didn't have to do much there. They used their ballistic missiles on places like the Sheikh Issa Air Base, and they used drones on softer, easier targets like 5th Fleet headquarters. It's almost symbolic, them blowing that base up and leveling it. And it will have to be leveled. I've seen that. I lived on that base, right, in Bahrain. When I wasn't on a ship, I was on that base. That base is done. And another thing that it is shown here, Mario, that we all should appreciate. The enemy has the ability to reach out and touch you. But for decades, apparently the United States felt impervious to any kind of attack. Now we have to move. Central Command, as the rumors that I started early on in the war are happening. Central Command will likely move to Israel out of Qatar. The base has now been abandoned. We're finding that it is harder to defend on the coast, the western coast of the Persian Gulf, than it is to move maritime aircraft to Aqaba, Jordan. They attack those. Now they have to fly all the way to Sigonella, Sicily, another base that I lived on. That's a 5-hour flight from Sigonella across the Mediterranean, 2.5 hours to get to Israel, then another 1.5 to 2 hours to get to the Persian Gulf, and then you start your patrols. The Iranians
The only thing good about this war is it's going to pull all of our bases out of the Middle East by the time we're done with this. It'll all be done. That's the only thing good coming of this. Like I said, guys, it's not getting any better. It's only getting worse. From Megatron, Ukraine struck a Russian military cargo vessel bound for Iran in the Caspian Sea, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky announces. So Ukraine is getting involved. That's great, right? That's great. No, we're not in World War III. From Suleiman Ahmed, Ukraine threatened to strike Iranian cities. Ukrainian military media says if Iran responds militarily to Ukraine, the Ukrainian army will carry out long-range drone attacks against Iranian cities. Nice, right? Wonder why Trump's trying to pull out of this now. But he's digging his heels in. Take a listen to this phone call that he had with Fox News on what's going on.
Finish the job, but that's going to take them forever to rebuild. Already, it'll take them many years to rebuild. And if I go back and finish up the job, as some people would like, with the bridges, very easy. I could take out most of their bridges in less than an hour. Less than an hour. But, it takes them 10 years to build a bridge. Bridges take the longest, and power plants are second. I can knock out the power plants. Within one day, all of their power plants would be gone.
See? Casually talking about going after civilian targets, war crimes. Yeah, the bridges can be used for military operations and they could designate it all military bullshit, but come on, people. Really?
And I let them know that, with negotiations. I said, look, people want me to do that. I think I get almost the same thing out of it as doing it, but the problem is they'll never be able to, I think about 91 million people without power, without bridges, would have to live. And it's a very, very delicate balance. So I think we have a very strong position right now. They know I'm going to do that if they don't make a deal. The bridges are going to be gone. Literally in less than, I would say in 2 hours, most of the bridges, the major bridges will all be gone. And the power plants in one day.
Well, that's where we are. We're threatening civilian targets, bridges, and power plants, put 91 million people in the dark, right? People on ventilators, stuff like that. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Let's get the job done. And we've gone after bridges. From Alex Jones, we've gone after, the largest bridge in Iran, looks like? Yeah. The B1 bridge. Bombed and destroyed Iran's tallest bridge, the B1 bridge. Take a look at this. This is bombing. Nice, right? Those civilians. This is us, all us. Bombing bridges. And as he stated himself, takes us 9-10 years to rebuild. Very nice. What else we got going on? Benjamin Netanyahu to reject Trump administration's demand for Israel to withdraw from Gaza, Syria, and Lebanon. Not shocking. Lockheed Martin is unveiling a high-powered microwave system that neutralizes up to 50 drones at a time. It's like a flying drone that kind of sets off an EMP, a directed EMP in the air. And takes out 50 drones at a time. It's pretty sick. Fires microwave energy, not missiles. Handles more than 50 drones per flight. Lands, gets recovered, fires again. Works with any command and control system. Needs no dedicated fire control radar. Morpheus. So it's autonomous. Cheap swarms have long forced defenders to spend far more per shot than each target is worth. Morpheus attacks that math. It is still just a prototype, though. As you can see, this is what they look like. Pretty crazy. Pretty far we've come, right? Too bad they didn't have some of that stuff now. Could have saved us some billions of dollars in interceptor missiles. From Suleiman Ahmed, U.S. troop casualties, the Iran war have surpassed 600 per CNN. Well, the numbers are coming out. From the Hormuz letter, Israel says the U.S. was preparing for something bigger than anything we've ever seen before. That's what Israel and the U.S. is saying. But as of now, we struck a deal with them. That's what they're saying. They're saying that we struck a deal. These are Trump's words. Try to manipulate the market before Monday's open. But he's saying that they've reached a deal and they will be getting rid of their nuclear program and they will be reopening the Strait of Hormuz. That's what Trump is saying. Okay? Now, whatever that means, I don't know. But IRGC claimed that strike on Al Azraq Air Base in Jordan destroyed 3 F-35s, damaged 3 others, and killed several U.S. officers and technical personnel. That's probably why we downed an F-35 over in California to cover up the loss of some of these F-35s. Because, conveniently, one of our F-35s went down in California, Friday or something. From GBC, China is entering the war. China is preparing to send 400 man-pads to Iran. And we're not talking about sanitary napkins for men. With the scope of $70 million agreement, China made QW-12s and FN-16s will be delivered. And man-pads are man-portable air defense systems. They're lightweight, shoulder-fired, surface-to-air missiles designed for infantry to target low-flying aircraft, helicopters, and drones, and cruise missiles. Recent reports as of July 29, 2026, indicate China is supplying Iran with hundreds of these systems under a reported $60 to $70 million deal for 300 to 400 units. The first batch is expected within weeks. This has been covered by Reuters, building on earlier CNN and New York Times reports from April 2026. So China's getting in. World War III is here. Okay? It's here. But you guys want to hear a little secret about China? China's actually Israel controlled. Yeah, they're controlled by the United States, which is controlled by Israel. So everybody is controlled by Israel. Check out these connections. This is from Bob Can Count.
Now, everyone thinks China is against Israel and the United States. But what if I told you the CCP was installed by the Jews and still works with Israel? Let's start off with this picture that has been scrubbed off the internet. You have the first chairman of the CCP, Mao Zedong, who went to Yale and was a part of the secret society Skull and Bones. The Rothschilds controlled Mao with funding organized by Israel Epstein, who you'll see on his left. And you have Solomon Adler and Frank Coe. They were influential in the Jewish contributions to the Chinese Revolution. Here's the new game Moles on Rainbet. To overthrow the prior government to install the CCP. These men were a part of Roosevelt's war cabinet. Pretty much the same thing with Trump having the Kushners and the Miriam Adelsons of today's time. The People's Republic of China was founded in 1949, when the Chinese Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, won the Chinese Civil War against the nationalists and declared the new communist state on October 1st, 1949, which was funded by the Rothschilds to install the CCP. The Zionists were majorly funded by two Jewish family dynasties that made their fortune with the opium trade throughout China, the Sassoons and the Kadoris. But as a result of this, 1 out of every 10 Chinese citizens became addicted to the drug. Both of these families transformed Shanghai after World War I, changed the face of the city, and even the country, China. They built hotels, nightclubs, and casinos. Their influence was so strong the Chinese came up with a word that described Jewish workers, and that word was Sassoon. So now you're seeing who funded and created the CCP. Let's fast forward. CIA Director James Woolsey, 1993, stated Israel was China's main source of advanced defense tech since 1989. Israel has passed U.S. military technology to China over the years, including a secret U.S. missile and electro-optics technology. Israel allegedly used U.S.-funded technology from the canceled Lavi Jet project to assist China's J-10 fighter development, which included avionics, flight controls, etc. This violates the U.S. Arms Export Control Act, which requires approval for retransfers of U.S. origin items. Netanyahu said he's looking to marry Israel's technology with China's capacity. Let's keep in mind, this is the same country who just had our military merge with theirs. While the mainstream media is telling you China is the bad guy, they are a part of the same team we just merged with. That's why I've been trying to tell you this is all theater when you zoom out. The one world government has already been in effect. If World War III does happen, the leaders of each country are in on it. And World War III is what you call the Holy War. It's to have the Christians and Muslims destroy each other. Now,
What do you think of that? That's pretty interesting that they're all part of the same team. It's all just theater. All just theater. Well, we had a couple cyber attacks. 7 states had their water supply attacked. They're saying it's Iran. No. But Trump is saying that the Minnesota cyber attack was just due to, their gross incompetence. Has nothing to do with Iran.
I just want to mention that we heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
So he's saying that it wasn't Iran. and very likely was, who knows, but Iran said it has prepared a comprehensive response to the newly announced U.S. and Israeli strikes for the weekend, warning it would immediately strike critical Israeli energy infrastructure and U.S. energy assets in the region. So, if we don't get a deal soon, we're gonna be pretty fucked. I mean, we're pretty fucked as it is. U.S. and Israel are preparing one of the harshest bombing reports, and it's all theater because it's all going back and forth, back and forth. Here's some more. What do we got here? Iran announced it'll strike the world's most important energy facilities located in Arab countries and Israel, all within range of the precision missiles. Ghawar oil field, Al-Bikra, Saudi Arabia, runways, refinery, and Zakum oil field, and North Qatar, like all, I guess, really high value targets. So the threats are getting very big. But President Trump just came out, what was it, August 1st, and he said that he's announcing holding off on the strikes because they're coming back to the table to make concessions. This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Strait of Hormuz and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. So it's all over. But then Iran chimes in and says, Iran says reports stating it agreed to a deal with the U.S. to reopen the Strait of Hormuz are false, as per Iran's Fars News. Iran also said the Strait of Hormuz remains closed to any ship that does not coordinate with the IRGC. Next, the U.S. says Iran is likely behind the coordinated cyber attacks on water systems in at least 7 U.S. states since Monday, with some activity actively degrading water operations, per New York Times. Former U.S. government cybersecurity contractor calls the attacks unprecedented, adding it's a significant escalation from Iran's hacking operations against the U.S., Israeli, and Middle Eastern targets since the start of the war in February. FBI and EPA confirmed the new attacks following yesterday's attack on more than 30 Minnesota water systems. So they are striking home, aren't they? Aren't they? Right. All right, here's more proof from James Lee that it's all just theater, and it really doesn't make a difference who you vote for, because now we got Republicans voting for Democrats. It's just getting crazy.
Democrats are going to take the House in 26, which I support. I think the Democrats are going to take the House in 26, which I support. I'm telling my people, vote Democrat.
See, Nick Fuentes is telling everybody vote Democrat now. Right? It doesn't make a difference.
We want the Democrats.
Okay, so get this. The same billionaire, GOP mega donor Paul Singer, who donated millions of dollars to oust Thomas Massie. Remember, Massie is the only Republican to vote no on giving billions of dollars to Israel. And Paul Singer is a devout Zionist and major supporter of Israel. He's now funding a Democrat, Haley Stevens, in the Michigan Democratic primary through a group called the United Democracy Project. Quote, the largest individual donor to UDP is billionaire Paul Singer, who served on the board of directors for the Republican Jewish Coalition. Why is this happening, you might ask? Well, check this out.
And in the United States Congress, I will continue to fight for the people of Israel. I will continue to fight for Israel's existence. Israel comes to me in my dreams. I see Israel's future.
Yeah, Nick, I don't think we're going to be able to vote our way out of this one.
That's a psychopath there.
I think the
That is a psychopath. No, you can't vote your way out. You can't vote your way out because it's two wings of the same rotten bird. That's all. Rotten to the core, people. And this is proof right here. Here's real Tim Burchett, and he's saying, Congressman Tim Burchett, he's saying that he wants to propose legislation that we ban all these flock cameras. Right? Everybody's against the flock cameras now, so Congress has to get on board.
I propose legislation.
That's very interesting. They're going to ban Flock, that one company.
Hey everybody, Tim
But
Burchett.
another one is
I've
going
proposed
to
legislation.
surface.
Here's the bill to eliminate federal funding and federal agencies purchasing those Flock cameras. I find it
So we're
pretty
going to get
disgusting.
rid of the Flock cameras because people don't like Flock, right? So take a look at what's going on. Democrat Costa Mesa, California Mayor John Stevens says he's never seen an issue. Virtually 100% of the people gave the same position on it for wanting Flock cameras canceled. Right after saying this, he voted to keep the contract. So that's pretty interesting, right? Knoxville police in Tennessee, who have replaced Flock cameras with Axon, say the public must now accept mass surveillance as the new normal because Axon is safe and effective and for your own good. So they're just getting rid of Flock.
What would you say to
Axon?
What would you
Axon
say
is
to ease
backed
people's
by
minds?
the Trump administration.
What would you say to ease people's minds about these?
I can speak for the Knoxville Police Department, and I can speak for our commitment as an agency to use this technology the right way. Our commitment to building, again, policies, strong policies that ensure that the technology is used the way it was intended to be used, and that we are committed absolutely to being transparent with how we're using that technology. Just talking about LPRs is, again, circling back to this, is it is one of the most impactful investigative tools that have come into policing in decades. And so I want people just to really hope that people will take the time to understand how their police department is using LPRs, the policies that we have in place, and how we deal with these situations, whether it has to do with LPRs or anything else, when there might be anything that's outside of policy. And so that's what I would say when you're looking at technology, the RTIC. We're an open book. We've got nothing to hide. And we want the community to understand what technology we're using and how we're using it.
Yeah, we got to just trust them that they're going to use it the way that it was intended, right? They're not going to be accessing the Flock systems to, stalk their ex-girlfriends or anything like that. Yeah. Take a listen to this. It's all, James Lee says it's all just a psyop. Check it out.
This Flock thing is almost certainly a deep state psyop. And I got all the receipts.
One of the content creators for the administration, basically a binder guy, an Epstein binder guy, all of a sudden saying the Flock cameras are wrong. And then you did a deep dive and you found out something really interesting.
I've found pretty much at least half a dozen cities that have canceled Flock, but then signed up for another surveillance system, Axon.
Except who has ownership in this company?
Well, turns out Trump. Earlier this year, he bought $5 million worth of stock in Axon.
The minions of President Trump going out now against Flock. And meanwhile, Americans don't realize they're just being replaced with a different surveillance system where Trump is getting some royalties on the side.
Now there's reporting that this guy has come out with, Tony Ortiz, saying that he's spoken to at least 2 influencers that have been approached about getting paid to post negatively about Flock.
So there you go.
Then I looked into the investors. So Flock is invested by Andreessen Horowitz. That's Mark Andreessen, part of the Silicon Valley technocratic elite. Founders Fund, that's Peter Thiel's group, as well as Y Combinator, that is the group that Sam Altman used to run. And if you look at Axon, Axon is a publicly traded company. So that's old school, that's banker finance money. So their top shareholders are BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street.
Right.
It's why are they pushing anti-Flock? Oh, is it because potentially they want to steer these city contracts towards Axon?
100%.
Is that a possibility? I have
Yes.
one more thing to share.
Yeah.
This is the headline. Epstein could have made $100 million on a secret police tech investment. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak helped convicted sex trafficker quietly invest $1 million into a police tech startup in 2015. So Axon just bought last year the company that Epstein founded back in 2015 called Carbon. So now you have the tie of Epstein and the Israelis involved with this Axon company.
And Trump.
Versus the technocratic elites. But the thing is, people aren't paying attention because everything is like anti-Flock, de-Flock. We need to get rid of these Flock cameras. but they're quietly putting up these Axon cameras in replacement, and they're tied to Israel, Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, BlackRock, Vanguard.
So that's the point.
That's the point.
It doesn't really matter what evil group is behind it. We need to make sure that we're knocking down all surveillance cameras.
Yeah, you see that? You go and you try to get rid of one thing, and then you get something that's 10 times worse, right? 10 times worse. This is a must-watch. Mass surveillance getting worse. Meet Lightpost, AI-powered license plate readers and live streaming surveillance cameras built directly into streetlights. That's nice, right? Is that Axon shit?
Excited to announce that we are working with another industry leader. I'm also excited to announce that we are working with another industry leader, Ubiquia, to turn streetlights into smart ALPR and live streaming cameras. Without having to add a single pole in the ground, this partnership accelerates deployments and turns existing infrastructure into intelligent, interconnected tools for public safety. Now, streetlights can do more than light the street. They can protect it. We call this Axon Lightpost. And to share more about this partnership, please welcome the CEO of Ubiquia, Ian Aaron.
Thanks, Rick. So at Ubiquia, our mission is simple: to make the world smarter, safer, and more connected. We actually do that by leveraging the existing infrastructure that's already in the ground. That's 60 million streetlights in the US and actually 450 million worldwide. And we make them intelligent. We built a reputation with more than 900 cities and utilities for turning ordinary streetlights into extraordinary tools for public safety. Our UB Hub platform is easy to install, simple to relocate, and built to scale, allowing police departments to deploy and expand their video and LPR capabilities quickly. And today, we're excited to announce our collaboration with Axon Lightpost, creating together a powerful streetlight-based platform for video surveillance and LPR, all integrating seamlessly with Axon Fusus. We believe this will be a game changer, giving law enforcement more eyes and real-time intelligence where they need it and when they need it. Here's a brief video to show you how we do it.
All right, we don't need to see all that. You guys got the gist. Now the cameras are going to be in the light post, so you're welcome. All right? Big Daddy Government is taking care of us. Very nice of them, isn't it? Very, very nice. Well, there's a law that requires the Department of Homeland Security to file a privacy impact assessment before launching any new public surveillance. In 2024, they filed 24. This year, they filed 0. While operating in total darkness, they quietly handed a $1 billion contract to Palantir, giving ICE, CBP, and FEMA an AI platform that swallows your private life. The DHS Inspector General just accused the agency of actively obstructing audits. Here's what the AI is confirmed to do with your data. It pulls face, fingerprints, and physical identifiers, processing them across multiple federal and state databases in real time. It runs link analysis on your digital footprint to instantly map your family, friends, and coworkers without even asking for a subpoena. You're no longer a citizen, you're a metric. The AI actively processes your data footprint to assign you a hidden automated risk score. Every flight, border crossing, and scanned license plate cross-reference to build a perfect searchable map of exactly where you've been. The AI connects to massive financial clearinghouses to map your exact income sources and daily spending habits. The behavioral dossier merges your money, your travel, and your relationships and your face into a complete behavioral profile. This is running right now without a single legally required privacy review. They are building a federal panopticon and smartly hiding the paperwork. Yeah, it is getting scary out there. Very scary. Let's take a listen. This is a clip from Anonymously Enlightening.
You think the phone in your hand belongs to you, and you think password locks, encrypted apps, and two-factor authentication protect your privacy, right? Well, it's time to wake up, because the state apparatus has already rendered all of that completely obsolete, and most citizens are still cheering it on, not even realizing what they've allowed to happen. Federal law enforcement, specifically ICE, has officially acquired and deployed commercial zero-click spyware, known as graphite. This isn't theoretical or speculative, but it's documented in the public federal procurement records and agency disclosures, confirming a multi-million-dollar contract reactivation that places military-grade cyber warfare tech directly into the hands of state agents. And you need to understand what zero-click actually means, because in the old days, the authorities needed you to slip up, and they needed you to click a suspicious link, download an untrusted file, or fall for a phishing trap, but not anymore, because with zero-click technology, a state operator sitting behind a console doesn't need to trick you, nor do they need to drive anywhere near your physical location with interceptor vans. All they need is a single identifier, like a phone number, an email address, or a messaging account handle. Then they send an invisible, silent data payload over the network that targets hidden vulnerabilities deep inside your phone's background operating system. You get no notification, no ringtone, no banner, and no pop-up, and you don't ever have to tap a single button, yet in an instant, your device is now totally compromised. And once executed, it grants them complete administrative control. They see your end-to-end encrypted communications on Signal or WhatsApp, in real time before encryption even happens. They'll snatch every photo, contact list, stored password, and have exact GPS coordinates of your location, and they can quietly activate your microphone and camera, transforming the device sitting in your pocket into a live, 24/7 wiretap. And don't fall for the lie that this is reserved strictly for criminals, illegals, or non-citizens, because the state doesn't build mass surveillance machinery just to leave it sitting in a drawer only used at random, but once an agency holds this capability, all citizens' boundaries evaporate. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen, an undocumented worker, a union organizer, or a regular civilian minding your own business. If they decide to target you, you will never get a notification, a warrant handed to you, or a knock at the door, but instead just total, unsanctioned access without your consent, and you'll never even know it happened. Time to unite, become self-sufficient, and build decentralized resilience. We do not forgive, we do not forget. Anonymously Enlightening out.
Pretty scary stuff going on, right? Pretty scary stuff with the data that they can grab from us. But we willingly have been giving up our data to a government-created system a long time ago, and that's Facebook, because it was created by DARPA as LifeLog. Take a listen to this clip from Whitney Webb and Wide Awake Media.
In 2004, there's another LifeLog program that gets, LifeLog program. LifeLog is a DARPA program that gets shuttered in the wake of the TIA explosion.
Right.
It shuts down the same day that Facebook is launched, and the project manager of LifeLog, Douglas Gage, later on was like, Facebook is exactly what I wanted LifeLog to end up becoming.
Fun.
Interesting that. And then Peter Thiel, fresh off of privatizing total information awareness. And there's some detail we didn't get into there, like the involvement of Alan Wade and how that ties in with all this other stuff, and how the CIA had intimately been involved with TIA.
Yeah.
And that's why you have the CIA and Palantir coming together so early, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so
read the article. It's all in there.
Totally. So LifeLog was basically a way to create, the goal was to create basically a narration of a person's life in episodes, basically a surveillance log of everything you've ever done. in discrete episodes that are tied to like geolocation, like where you are and who you're with photographic evidence and like all of this other stuff. So like, I mean, it's literally is Facebook.
Right.
See that? If you haven't known, Facebook started off as a DARPA program, LifeLog. I'm sure that we've mentioned this in previous episodes. I just found the clip and I figured I would throw it in here at the end because that's where we are, people. We are at the end. It's about that time for me to get the hell out of here. I've had a great time putting this together with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. It was very frustrating and it took a lot out of me, but I'm glad that I got it done. So if you liked the episode, please share it with somebody. Continue to share the show as it may grow. Rate the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, do what you like. But 5 stars I would prefer. All right? All right, you guys take it easy. Stay safe out there. They're watching your every move, people. Have a great week. Love y'all. Peace.